maybe you could start by telling us how you did this. How did you start this? I mean, it's not your garage, but your kitchen. And why Brooklyn? And what do you think you're doing here, making these 3D printers that we can all buy?
That's right. First of all, thank you for having me. Honored to be here. That's right. I started this little company in my kitchen. We like to joke that in Silicon Valley, when you start a company, you get a garage. Well, in Silicon Alley, in Brooklyn, I got a kitchen.
Because you don't have a garage.
Exactly, that's right. So very limited on space. But New York is a great place to start a company. A lot of very talented people here. So I started the company in September of 2011. And my goal was to put a printer in every home in the world. And today we're 10,000 printers closer to that goal, and we currently sell to 60 different countries. My goal with the company from the beginning was to create 3D printers that are both affordable and easy to use. And today that's where we remain. Our printers go from $499 to $1,000, fully assembled, ready to go. We try to make 3D printing accessible to the masses.
Right, you have a couple generations out, checking out your website, the Solidoodle #4. I mean, that looks like the latest iteration, if you will. And they are. For under $1,000, for about $500, you can get one of these. Is this what sets you apart from a lot of the other players? Because you're not the only game in town when it comes to 3D printing.
That's right. We differentiate from two things by being affordable and easy to use. And we were the first printer under $500, fully assembled, and that's really where we got our start. In April of 2012, we launched the Solidoodle 2, second-generation printer. That really put us on the map. Overnight, hundreds of thousands in sales. And the public, I think, for the first time, started to take notice, wow, 3D printing, I can really afford it for just $499. So that's where we stand today. Our printers don't have all the bells and whistles that some other printers might have. We're not the biggest. We don't have all the features, but it's something that everybody can afford from just $500 to $1,000, and it's
well, not
easy
everybody,
to use.
but some.
Well, one of the interesting things when you were speaking at the Council on Foreign Relations last fall, and I was in the audience and I heard you speak, and it was a discussion about how 3D printing is going to change the world, and I was really struck by that. I mean, the ability for individuals to print, yes, everyday items. I think the example you gave was an iPhone case. Why does it, a petroleum-based product that is made in China and shipped to the U.S., why do we need to go through all that when we could just print it in our living rooms or our kitchens or wherever it is we have this wonderful appliance? To explain that to us and what that's going to mean for employment, for people who make iPhone covers and other things, and how is that going to change the world in terms of saving energy and saving costs?
Absolutely. So currently, if that iPhone case is a great example. Currently, when you buy an iPhone case, let's think about the supply chain for that. Let's say the oil, it's made from ABS. It's a petroleum-based plastic. The plastic starts in the Middle East, for example, moves to China where it's manufactured, moves to the U.S. This iPhone case has traveled all the way around the world, plus it's made of petroleum, using petroleum to ship it all the way around the world. Now we can print your iPhone case from a plastic called PLA. PLA is a corn-based plastic, renewable resource. We have plenty of corn in the U.S. So now we can grow the raw material in your backyard and print it in your living room. You shorten the supply chain from all the way around the world to your backyard. And by the way, you're not stuck with just choosing from among 5 iPhone cases that you see on the shelf. You can print out thousands of designs from the internet. So the potential of 3D printing to make the world a better place and allow us to live more sustainable lives, it's definitely there.
Sam, help me out, though. I mean, you said that the reason what sets your printer apart is that the price specifically, right, is going to make it more accessible. But do you really believe that everybody's going to be, in their backyard growing a corn-based product and then printing out items? I mean, do you really believe that this is the future of society? It's not the first time 3D technology has been out there. We saw it 2 or 3 decades ago.
Absolutely. So 2 or 3 decades ago, I was involved in using 3D printing in my first job as an aerospace engineer at GE. 3D printing at that time, very expensive, and it was mostly industrial. So before 2007, 3D printing was very expensive in industrial and commercial applications. Now what we've done is bring 3D printing to the consumer. We've broken through that $500 price barrier with a consumer product.
But what are consumers going to be really, you mentioned the iPhone, what are we really going to be making with a 3D printer?
Exactly. Everyday household items. Right now we see that parents are creating toys for their children. Dad loves to print out toys for his kids. That's a huge customer for us. Schools are printing educational aids. We have a lot of things in schools. Engineers and architects are creating designs, and then hobbyists are creating their next big invention. And actually, to go back to the employment issue, hobbyists are actually using their 3D printers to create their next big invention and then starting businesses. So we're actually, not only have we created 60 jobs right here in Brooklyn with our own startup, our products are launching businesses which in turn create other jobs, and we've seen that quite a bit.
So you've spoken about how 2014 is going to be a turning point year for you. You want to get into the early mainstream market. I guess those were your words. Is that happening? And do you see these 3D printers being sort of as ubiquitous as scanners or fax machines were, you know, in last decade? I mean, is this something that we're all going to have, like a microwave? It looks a little like a microwave. Is this something that's going to be as ubiquitous as these other appliances?
That's our goal, is to put a 3D printer in every home in the world. Wow. And already we're a step closer to that goal. So we have some new products and new service offerings coming out this year, which I think are going to be game changers. Most of our sales so far have come directly from our website, but we're seeing that shift more towards retail and more towards global distribution. So that's going to be a key component of moving from the early adopter segment to the early mainstream segment, which is our goal for this year. So absolutely, I think it's going to be ubiquitous.
Just quickly, who's buying right now? Is it parents? Is it homes? Just quickly.
Right. It's families, designers, educators, and also hobbyists.